it's kind of almost with every issue that's coming up, like the big issues in America right now. It's like the only real answer is secession and decentralization. It's really the only answer. It's the only answer for a lot of different things. It's the only answer for the debt. It's the only answer for immigration. It's the only answer for the culture wars. It's like, it's really funny. Like, it's just, even, Colin Quinn, the great comedian Colin Quinn, this guy isn't like, I don't think, I mean, I've never really had long talks with Colin about this particularly, but I don't think he's like read the same stuff I'm reading. He's read a lot of other stuff, but he just came to the conclusion, like, comedically, like through following comedy, like he was just like, yeah, we need to break up. Isn't that obvious? Isn't it, it's like if you're in a marriage where you guys both hate each other, it's like after a while you're like, I know you don't want to give up on the idea of the marriage. Like you don't want to give up on the idea of America, but you hate each other. It's time to go separate ways. That's what you do here. And with the immigration thing, like the more I was kind of talking about it, even when I was expressing a lot of my concerns over Texas flipping blue, and what's this going to look like for the country. But I guess the truth is, and no one even said this to me, as I was arguing with people, this kind of dawned on me, where I was like, well, it's inevitable, isn't it? That's going to happen. I mean, whether it's in 5 years or 10 years, maybe 15 years, and more of the data I've been looking at looks like it's more likely 5 or 10 than 15, that's going to happen. And once that happens, what's the answer? I mean, what do you do?
You know what? This to me is also the scariest part about Texas flipping blue. The Republican Party's not going away, but the issues that the Republican Party are going to talk about, this is what's going to happen. The Republicans are going to become the modern day middle of the road Democrats, and your Democrats are just going to be the
socialists,
the AOC socialists,
yes,
and those are going to be the two parties.
Which, if you look at it, is kind of what it always has. Isn't Michael Malice's quote that conservatives are progressives driving the speed limit? Oh wait, maybe that was my quote. Anyway, I can't remember.
But you're the moderates, so it sounds like something more like what you would say, yeah.
But that really is the truth. I mean, any of the issues that were the issues that the left was dying and fighting for 20 years ago are now the issues that the conservatives champion.
Right.
I mean, that's kind of the way it goes. And like it's gonna keep going that direction. But I did start to, it's like I don't know. Immigration really is still the issue I have the most trouble with, but because I do think there's a real problem when you have a welfare state and you have illegals voting, which they are. I don't even get into this right now, but they are. And that's just the truth.
Why do you say that as like an absolute?
Because there's, well, like the examples I use, I mean, I just for whatever, and there's examples of this in different states, but like in Illinois, for example, there's they were giving out in Chicago ID cards for illegal immigrants.
Yeah.
That you can use to vote. And they don't check your address, they don't check your birth certificate. They literally just make you check a box that says you're a legal citizen before you vote. So, I mean, the idea that the idea that any illegal immigrant is going to be thwarted by having to check a box with no ramifications over that, and you just get to vote. I mean, it seems obvious that that's going to happen. And then there's been several studies into this. One guy who was at the Mises University showed me a study recently just on in Minnesota, illegal voting. And basically, most of the state governments just won't allow you to get access to these records. But if you actually look at the states that have any type of citizenship test, it's very few. It's very few. It's a handful of states that do it, and the rest of them, you basically don't need one.
It's a power grab. The Republicans gerrymander, and the Democrats move, illegals into voting areas.
However, even with all those problems, I don't think it should. I don't want to get to a point where, like, I know it's like a tactic that the left uses, but that doesn't mean there's no truth to it. And it is horrible when you see people being held in these conditions. In these detention facilities. It's like, that's awful, man. I wish we could find a better solution for that. I mean, look, I wish there was just a way to, like, I mean, honestly, I think voter ID laws might be the easiest first step, at least for that, because I actually think voting is probably the biggest problem. But regardless, it doesn't matter. I mean, even if you're the most hardcore, like, alt-right white nationalist guy, I think you should just, like, you'd be better for your own ends. I think you'd be better off just favoring secession. I mean, like, what are you going to do? The country's going to be a majority Hispanic country. If you just look at the demographic projections. It doesn't matter if you built a wall tomorrow and ended chain migration tomorrow and cut it all off. Well, the Hispanics are just outbreeding whites in America. So they're going to, the numbers are going to keep going. You might slow it down by 10, 15 years, but it's going to keep going. I mean, anything short of like mass deportations, like we're going to start a police force to go door to door and check everybody's citizenship and start really rounding people up and deporting them. And if you actually tried to do that with the whatever 30 million illegal immigrants who are here, and by the way, I don't even know if that's enough. I think you might have to start revoking people's citizenship and kicking them out too. And then you would just have, what you would have to create would be such a worse nightmare than the demographic changes that are coming up. You'd have to live in a Nazi-style police state. And truthfully, even if they say they do online, I don't think 95% of those kids even want that. And it also makes sense if you're like a super, progressive person. I mean, if you live in California and you want all of the, you have the votes, you could have everything you want tomorrow. All you need to do is just secede from the union. Now, what the fuck is the union doing for us anyway at this point, other than flirting with a war in Iran? Which, by the way, that's another story that's been in the news a lot lately. Is just more and more. It's like you just
We're playing
see
tag, man. We take their ship, they take our ship. It's fun.
Yeah, Britain takes a ship. Britain gets in there. It's like, shut up, Britain. No one's playing with you. But it is just like it's a dangerous game of tag. I'll tell you that.